Why is all this going on? Well, believe it or not, it's a fight. And God said again in Isaiah, "For Zion's sake will I not hold my peace. For Jerusalem's sake I will not rest." So you can mark it down, God's not going to give up on this. "Until the righteous thereof go forth as brightness, and the salvation as a lamp that burneth, and the Gentiles shall see thy righteousness." That's us, folks. "And all the kings thy glory. And thou shalt be called by a new name, which the mouth of the Lord shall name." In other words, Jerusalem is going to get this honor, this glory. "Thou shalt be a crown of glory in the hand of the Lord, and a royal diadem in the hand of thy God." God is going to use Jerusalem as his point of glory. This is why it's so great to be involved in this. And I want to share one final thing before I close this tonight. And that is one other very interesting prophecy. And with this I will close. And thank you all so much for being patient with me tonight. I appreciate it so much. I want to read to you this passage again in Zechariah. Tonight we've stayed in Zechariah almost the whole night. "This shall be a plague wherewith," and incidentally, let me just say, this is part one, and we'll give you the best part of this on Saturday night, by the way, and I'm going to just saying that so you'll come. I'll preach it regardless of anybody comes. But it will be good, it really will. "And this shall be the plague wherewith the Lord shall smite all the people that have fought against" where? Now, let's stop there and say, we just read a moment ago from Isaiah that God says, "I'm not going to quit. I'm not going to give up. I'm not going to rest." And he's good at doing plagues. And he says, "I'm going to do this. I'm going to fight those that fight against Jerusalem. This is the plague I'm going to send them. Their flesh," now remember, this was written 2,600 years ago. "Their flesh shall consume away while they stand upon their feet." Now the word "consume" there means melt, dissolve, flow, and vanish. So let's read it again. "Their flesh shall melt, dissolve, flow, and vanish away while they stand on their feet." Now let me just tell you, to up about 50 years ago, atheists and agnostics mocked. They said, "How stupid is that? Melt away while people standing on their feet. I'm sure." Okay? How many know they don't do that anymore? They don't mock anymore. Those skeptics are long gone. "And their eyes shall consume away," dissolve, melt, vanish away, "in their holes," in other words, their sockets, their eyeballs will melt. "Their tongues shall melt, dissolve, flow, and vanish away in their mouth." And this is all while they're standing on their feet. Now, how many know that does sound pretty far-fetched? I mean, there's been some plagues that's hit people, but nothing that just make your skin just melt off your body, and your eyes just melt, your tongue just melt while you're standing up. That's a pretty bizarre plague. And that's, to be honest with you, people said that's impossible. And it was impossible, especially back 2,600 years ago. But God says, "You know what? I'm going to show you how I'm a little bit ahead of you guys. I'm going to show you. I'm going to tell you something 2,600 years before it's even possible." And sure enough, there was a movie out a number of years ago that actually confirmed this very thing. It was at that time, Terminator 2 was the most expensive movie of all time. At that point, it was the most expensive, and mostly due to this particular scene I'm getting ready to play for you. I want you to notice and give me her name again. What was her name? Sarah. Sarah has this reoccurring dream. Yeah. And she's dreaming of an event that's going to take place in Los Angeles when her and her son are in this little playground. And she dreams about this over and over again. Every time that she almost sleeps, she has this dream. And it is horrifying to her. And it is a warning to her of a pending doom on the earth as the result of a nuclear explosion in LA. I want you to notice how Hollywood showed what has now been proven to be the results of nuclear explosion. As the scripture says, it would consume away while they stand on their feet. Kind of an impressive thing, to say the least. And yet, folks, this dream is about the future. And really, so much of movies today tie around this stuff. But here's the amazing thing. Watch what the scripture says about this once I finish showing this to you. Obviously, in real life, this takes megaseconds to transpire. Now, let's take a look once again at what the scripture says. Peter referred to this very same thing, no doubt, and it seems odd to anyone, but he writes about the day of the Lord. And by the way, that's the time of the end. It's a battle that will be in the end. But the day of the Lord will come as a thief in the night. Remember that scripture Jesus says about coming as a thief in the night? In the which the heavens, now what's this statement? Shall pass away with a great noise, and the elements shall melt. And you can look that up in your Strong's, and it literally means to liquefy. Melt with fervent heat. Now wait a minute. Scientists are saying, the elements melt, come on. Well, they don't say that anymore now, since we've discovered the ability to split the atom. And the earth also, and the works that are therein, shall be what? What does it say? Burned up. So we've got great noise, melting, burning up, seeing then that all these things shall be what? Dissolved. Now we're in the New Testament now, but we're still thousands of years from this technology. Seeing then that all these things shall be dissolved. In other words, what's going to be dissolved? It's just going to all melt. Everything's going to be burned up. Then what manner of persons ought ye to be? In all holy conversation, the word conversation doesn't just mean the words, it means your lifestyle. All holy conversation, lifestyle, and godliness, looking for and hastening unto the coming of the day of God. Not only should we be looking for this, but we should be trying to hasten it, to hurry this coming. Watch, wherein the heavens being on fire shall be dissolved, and the elements shall melt with fervent heat. What kind of people should we be? What kind of life should we be living? What kind of lifestyle, what kind of godliness should be coming out of the lives of people who believe this? And I'm going to tell you, we are so stinking close to this, folks. I mean, there is no question in the minds and hearts of most people that have listened and watched. Brother, this is not a coincidence. It's not a coincidence they locked up the walls. It's not a coincidence that they discovered that there's a fault through Mount of Olives. And it's not a coincidence there's a major warfare going through. And it's not a coincidence they've created these massive destructive elements. And God didn't need any of these things. And Peter is saying now, seeing that this is the case, what kind of person should you be? What kind of way should you be living, and how should you be acting, seeing it's all going to melt, it's all going to burn? The fact of the matter is, when John got to the end of the book of Revelation, John saw some pretty strange things and pretty scary things and some pretty awesome things, pretty amazing things. And when he got to the conclusion, he says, you know what? Even so, come quickly, Lord Jesus. You know, the only people that really, really want that to happen are people who truly, really, really want it to happen. If you don't want, oh, Jesus, wait till we get back from our trip to Disney. Just wait 2 more weeks, Lord. And it's just like how carnal, how superficial, how, none of us want our children to miss out on anything. But you know what, folks, listen. I think everyone, most people, when they reach the end of life, they've seen it all, they've heard it all, they've been through it all, it's not worth any of it anymore. I mean, just when it boils down to, I just want to be in the center of His will. Yes. I just want to be right with Him. You know what? Nothing matters. Nothing matters. It doesn't matter how much you make or you don't make. It doesn't matter how much you're going through or what you're facing or what kind of temptations or what kind of trials or what kind of sickness or elements. It doesn't matter what's going on. It really doesn't matter. There's more to this than this stinking life that we are in. Thank God for all the joys and the victories and the wonderful, beautiful things that we are blessed with. But it's not a drop in the bucket compared to what the Scripture says God has got prepared for them that love Him. And let me tell you, don't think you're getting ripped off. Man, Jesus, come on, I'm getting ripped off. No, you're not. I mean, it's like a little child that's inside the mother's womb. When it comes out, it's saying, I don't want to come out. It's too nice and warm in here. Everything's real comfortable and perfect. And now you're going to put me out there as this bright, cold world that's, hurting my ears. Little does he know, or little does she know, how much awesome it's going to be on the outside and to be on the inside. But you can't convince them at that point because they're screaming, I want back in. And brother and sister, when this is over, I got news for you. It's going to be 1,000,000,000 times better. Now, if you're not right with God, it's going to be 1,000,000,000 times worse. If you're sitting here right now and you don't know the Lord, you are sadly on the absolute wrong end of this thing. If ever there was a time you need to get right with God, I'm telling you, friend, it's right now. I mean, really right with God. It's right now. I mean, I don't really know how much more we have as far as days, weeks, months, years, or decades. But I do know one thing. This thing is getting wrapped up quickly. And if you're sitting here and you don't know Jesus and you're not walking with Him, listen to me. If you're a backslider and you're away from Him, you have got to make things right with God. I want to give you a little personal testimony, and then I'm going to close. And praise team, if you want to come on back up. When I was here last year, it was just almost a year ago, just a couple weeks for being a year ago.